3, 2, 1. Feather friend more Yep. Today I'm gonna look into government shutdown. That's the one. I remember now. This probably sounds all funny with me talking over this stuff. So, alright, so I'm gonna just kind of play some videos and kind of see what the current state is, the government shutdown here. And, ooh, well, we got this premiere here. You know what? 3, 2, 1, the 5. Let's watch the 5's take. I don't really want to watch Fox, but it's the first on the list. So let's go in. Okay, I'm getting myself ready. Yeah, okay. We're gonna be open-minded to this, all right? We're gonna handle this like professionals. Professionalism.
President Trump vowing to clear out dead wood on day 2 of the shutdown as both sides dig in for the long haul. The White House has been freezing billions in funds for
Cut out dead wood. Trump urges GOP to gut waste and fraud during shutdown. For those who have been keeping up with politics, right now we are in a government shutdown in the United States. On one hand, you have the Republicans who just want to have a clean bill, as they've been describing it. I'm not exactly sure what it is besides just I think it is just continuing resolution of what has already been enacted through bills or whatever. On the other hand, you have Democrats who want to continue subsidies through the ACA for Americans because those are set to close or end by January, so premiums are going to skyrocket for a lot of Americans. Previously, the Democrats, particularly like Chuck Schumer, voted on the big beautiful bill that Republicans had already enacted before. We've kind of seen the hurt that's put on Americans, so Democrats are trying to take a stand for it. Republicans have been not really showing up for conversations. Trump has told them not to show up for conversations, not to negotiate. They kind of just want to have their way with it, which they do have the majority, so they're just kind of trying to brute force their way through it. The whole thing. Who is to blame for the shutdown? Hey, Democrats, they could have just went along with it like they did before. Americans would have suffered for it, but they could have just went along with it. They're trying to hold their guns. And Republicans really don't. They really want to something. I'm gonna hit play.
Democrat agencies will be on the chopping block next.
Okay, I gotta say right now, the way that Trump keeps phrasing like about who he's going to fight, like he's already been firing people left and right in the government as much as he can, people that just don't bow to his will. This sounds like blackmail. Like the way that Trump was phrasing a lot of this stuff, and he's saying that like, hey, if the Democrats don't want to just go along with the continuing resolution, we'll start firing Democrats in office. It's like, are you trying to blackmail the Democratic Party by firing people in the government if you don't get your way? Is that because that's what it sounds like to me with Trump. This is kind of the plan to determine which of the many Democrat agencies, most of which are political scam. Scam is an interesting take. He recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I mean, there's already temporary cuts that are going out, so the whole idea of, I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. He's reveling too much in a government shutdown. They are not super people, so maybe this is a way of wanting to quietly and quickly make America. This makes no sense. This makes so little sense. This makes so little sense.
Meanwhile, after claiming Republicans are lying about illegal immigrants getting health care, some Democrats are just flat out admitting it.
Oh, really?
The amount of money that actually is going towards people who are undocumented is such a small portion.
We got to make sure Americans have the health care that they need. And if that means we got to shut this government down, so be it.
They didn't even admit it. They didn't even admit it. They said that there's a small portion that goes to it, which, there's probably some people who an undocumented immigrant ends up in the emergency room, which I would much rather have some funds go to that than to whatever is going on with Trump and his cronies. $17 billion they said they've made in revenue from the tariffs. Where is that going to right now? Well, apparently it's not $1.5 trillion to these ACA subsidies, so somebody's getting the 17 trillion, but it's not the American people right now.
This is so not about me, because I saw some senators speculating about this, and I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, if we have this shutdown, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open, and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly.
There was a thought from the Republicans that AOC is directing this, and she said that senators are welcome to go to her office directly. Is she?
Why are you saying such a ridiculous thing?
Yeah, why are you saying such a ridiculous thing?
Shutdown drama, a meme war is being fought in the White House, but has been.
Yeah, this is what President Trump didn't want the press in the room for the negotiations, and this is what was happening in the room when they were supposed to be having negotiations about the shutdown. This is our president. Hey, well, for all you people who voted for memes, well, memes are going up. Everything else is tanking, but at least you got more memes that you can post in Discord, guys. So there you go. You know, you guys are probably so happy. Everyone's suffering, but hey, we got memes. You know, when we talk about Jimmy Kimmel being, you know, unpopular, bad ratings, lying, we also have a president who is unpopular. He's lying. I forget what the other point was. Point is, this guy is not. He seems like he should be fired. You know, for lying, being unpopular, unfunny. That's the one. Trump is very unfunny.
And they have so much more to lose. All their pet projects, their windmills, their bureaucrats, and the world keeps
so much more to lose. The pet project. What is he even talking about right now? Like, what exactly? Is this more blackmail? Is that what they're talking about? Instead of having an actual conversation, they're like, no, we'll take away more things. Like, what is...
All they're talking about is sombreros and health care for illegal aliens.
Democrats bring up the sombrero. Republicans keep bringing up illegal aliens. Just to make sure that we're keeping this clear, because it almost sounded like he was saying it was the other way.
So they're basically holding the government hostage and making Trump fix a problem that they created.
They're trying to get Trump to fix a problem that he's not fixing, is what it sounds like. And Trump doesn't want to do it, is what it just sounded like he just said, because Trump doesn't want to fix problems with the government.
When your wife forces you to buy an expensive car, and then she just wrecks it over and over again, and it's always stuck in the shop. But she wants to go out, right? But she won't take an Uber. She won't be seen in an Uber. She calls you cheap. So you know what you do? You sit on the couch, you say, fine, babe, I'm just going to sit down, order pizza, and watch football. You're the one that needs to go out and shop and get their nails done. This is a war they cannot win. You're playing chicken with the guy that loves sitting down.
That is a very accurate description of Donald Trump. It's a very accurate description. He's so proud of himself, too, about that very accurate description of Donald Trump. Just a guy who sits around and pretends he's doing stuff.
All these infrastructure projects, Dana, I want them on meritocracy. I want them on safety, not on sex and race, if these contracts were given out for DEI reasons. And we'll see. Russ, vote.
Okay, the whole DEI thing that they keep bringing up, like, I know you guys are racist, but, like, could you just try to hide it a little bit more? Like,
he is saying that we're pausing, we're reviewing, we're examining. That's what President Trump was elected to do.
Here's the thing. Trump didn't need to wait until a government shutdown to do this stuff. Like, it's such a non-argument.
So I hope Democrats can get back to the table. I'm a contrarian here with my party, Jesse. I'm saying get back. I'm consistent. Vote for the clean CR and hold their feet to the fire and make it clear you will close the government down.
I will say this is one way that, you know, Democrats, they could vote for a clean CR and try to take Republicans like Mike Johnson on his word that, you know, they will discuss these the bills, but I also don't blame Democrats for not trusting Republicans because they've been lying about so many different things. They were talking about illegal immigrants getting funds from this bill, which I know Mike Johnson says that, but Mike Johnson says a lot of things, like he was talking about the riots on January, or not the riots, the insurrection at Jan 6, being a bunch of FBI people in the crowd because Donald Trump said it. So I don't blame Democrats for not trusting Republicans at this point. They're very two-faced about everything they do.
But I love that Trump makes shutdowns fun because he makes everything fun.
You know, it's just some people have to go to work right now and not get paid, but this is fun. Fun.
Only the right can do memes because memes find truth in absurdity.
Oh, that explains the people who voted for Trump.
The left are terrible at it because they're the absurdity.
I don't know. I feel like Newsom does a pretty good job. Yeah, there we go. It's so funny. I don't even know if I necessarily agree with this, but if you want to talk about...
Hello and welcome to my show, A History of Couches. I'm your host, J.D. Vance, and we've got a special episode for you today. The 4th Earl of Chesterfield...
If it really goes with the goals in the White House that Trump has been bragging about. Can't fund a government shutdown, but and Medicare subs or ACA subsidies. They can fund gold in the White House and a ballroom. Anyways, the left knows how to meme. Everyone knows how to meme, you know. It should also be noted that he's talking about, you know, being a rich white guy and not having to worry about these things is very he's got his blinders on. He just doesn't. He's like right there to actually acknowledge, like, oh yeah, minorities have a lot bigger problem with it. Like trans people, non-binary people are going to be targeted in the Trump administration. Just Democrats are getting attacked by ICE agents, you know, just because Trump doesn't agree with them. It's not even just Democrats at that point. It's just minorities still. And this guy's talking about making a government shutdown fun. Yeah, 1,200 people, alligator Alcatraz, just unaccounted for, could be dead, deported, don't even know.
But like, you know,
but this is fun. People's lives are at stake, but this is fun. He's just a solid douchebag.
We don't care what you think anymore.
I mean, I don't care what you think right now, so.
We're taking your only tool and we're turning it into a joke. The sombrero totally just chaps your hide. We laugh. We're not running away from you. We're running at you, and we're laughing all the way. As Scott Adams says, this is a breakout.
Racist man running straight at you, laughing as you are getting deported by ICE. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I don't think this guy realized how infinitely stupid he sounds right now, but
it's true. You don't
sorry, unbiased. So, like, again, if we're going to talk about the illegal migrants getting health care, I'll just say it, freaking good. You know, no one deserves to die in an emergency room because of they weren't born in the States or something like that. Like, I'm sure eventually they have to go to the hospital at some point. There's got to be something to take care of them. And while sure they aren't going to get health insurance or whatever else, it's the whole taking care of your fellow man kind of thing. It's the whole Christian rhetoric around that. So what he's talking about here, like, oh, we shouldn't be spending money on saving lives. You know, that'd be horrible. Instead, we should be having fun with memes instead of worrying about saving people's lives, is what it sounds like this guy's saying the entire time. But it's fun. It's fun to watch people die.
Democrats are like the dude with the EBT card that was meant for milk and bread, but they end up buying cigarettes and liquor for their homie.
You can't spend it on cigarettes and liquor, you moron. You can't do that. You literally can't do that. Like, they're even trying to take it away that you can't spend it on things like soda, which, fine, go ahead. Like, that's it. That's what this premiere was about. This premiere sucked. Sorry, that was a very good premiere you did, Fox. I'm glad I watched that. I can't hear squat.
We haven't wanted to negotiate. We just want to keep the government open.
I think that's kind of the problem. You haven't wanted to negotiate. You just want to have a clean CR. Like, they don't want to negotiate. That's kind of the problem. That's part of the whole. That's part of your job as a politician, is you just go to meetings all the time and you talk with people. That's your job as a politician. That's your job. We haven't wanted to negotiate. That's your literal job, is to negotiate with people. That's why you're here. What do you mean you don't want to negotiate? That's your job. It's to sit down and listen to your constituents, and then you go over and you negotiate with people about it. That's your job. It's stupid and asinine. Sorry, I'm unbiased.
We wanted to pass a clean continuing resolution. We still do, to keep the government open, and then we can negotiate on all of this.
Yep. Once we get it our way, then we'll negotiate about all the things that we don't have to listen to the Democratic Party about, and we'll just do as many illegal things as possible and try to get the SCOTUS to bail us out when need be, to give Trump full immunity for all the illegal things he keeps doing, because we own everything. And the moment the Democrats try to remind us that there are people who are suffering because of this, we're going to be like, no, let's just keep the government going that we don't even care about.
Democrats have voted for the clean continuing resolution that Republicans introduced 13 times in the past. 13 times. They voted for it as recently as March. And now all of a sudden...
Yep, they did vote for it recently as March, and now a bunch of Americans are going to be suffering because of the big beautiful bill and stuff like that.
They are shutting the government down, and they are holding our country hostage over a partisan political matter.
It should be noted the military and ICE roaming the streets are going to be more holding Americans hostage than Democrats right now. That should be noted much more clearly here.
The vast majority of the country disagrees with, and they know it's...
No. That's definitely not true. That's definitely not true. The whole bombing fishing boats thing is truly horrifying and despicable. It's just so many lives killed and ruined just from the Trump administration already. It's just truly despicable, absolutely atrocious.
Millions of Americans are going to get a letter from their insurance companies telling them that their insurance premiums will double. Let me repeat.
Part of that whole big, beautiful bill.
Big, beautiful bill.
There's also talk about like hospitals closing, stuff like that. That's why that's why Democrats are like, okay, we need to put our foot down. We went along with this big, beautiful bill. We seen what's going to happen from it. Instead of trying to fight it and force a government shutdown, we were going to try to go along with it. Well, that was a bad idea. Apparently, we have to play hardball because, yeah, like I don't necessarily blame Democrats for wanting to shut the government down. Is it partially their fault? Sure. Is there a good answer to the situation for the Democrats? Nope. Because Republicans own the House, Senate, and White House. So
you can't go to a doctor. You can't get into a hospital. You know what? You're going to die. 50,000 people unnecessarily every single year.
Like I know people in the area I live, which is it's a heavily Republican area too, very poor area. There's a lot of people here who can't afford many things. They're living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of them accrue debt one way or another, and they try to find ways around it. And like, how are you gonna? Don't even have time to go to the doctors, let alone be able to afford to go to the doctors. It's kind of a big problem. Yeah, there's a lot of messed up stuff with the healthcare in our system. There's a lot of messed up stuff with our system, period, and it's getting worse day by day. And yeah, it's scary.
Republicans like to talk about investing $50 billion into rural healthcare, but what they somehow forgot to tell you is that their cuts in the bill are $150 billion.
Sounds about right. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, we're doing a bailout of Argentina, is it? Because I guess there's people who invested in Argentina. I forget what the whole story was that, but basically we're doing a bailout of Argentina instead of investing in America first. So
you got to have both parties coming together. Republicans are not doing that. They're not negotiating. They're simply saying, take it or leave it my way.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing I was saying earlier too. Like it should be part of their job to negotiate these things for their constituents, but instead they're like, nah, it's just our way or the highway. We don't want to have to negotiate. We don't want to have to actually talk to our constituents. That's what it seems to be the Republican path going forward here. So it's very concerning.
The time is now for the American people to speak up. So I would very much appreciate hearing from you. Thank you very much.
My whole story, I guess, with that would be I did just get a letter about co-pays possibly going up for myself. I'm lucky. I have been quite lucky with my insurance as it is. I don't have to pay a lot of premiums or anything like that. So I will say that. I don't have too much of a story to share with that, but I know a lot of people who that's probably not going to be necessarily true for, and they're probably going to struggle. And yeah, I wish I had more to say about that, but now it just made me a little sad because I saw Bernie Sanders' sad eyes, and now he gave me the puppy dog eyes. So, let's check this out, because that's the thing. Trump's promising to do more firing because reasons. That's the best thing Trump's good at is just firing people.
The White House is now threatening to fire thousands of federal employees. Is that a risk that you're willing to take by putting up this fight, and for how long?
The Trump administration has been firing.
Yeah, again, that just sounds like blackmail more than anything. It's like, if you don't go along with this, people are going to get hurt. It'd be a shame if someone got hurt if this shutdown happened.
Thousands of federal employees outside of the context of a government shutdown since January 20th.
Trump fires his own people. I know my brother, I don't know if he still does, he worked with the fire service, and he puts his life on the line for a lot of that in his own way. And yeah, I guess it's like, is he going to be hit by these firings just because? I should probably talk to him. I haven't talked to him in a while, but point is, like, I know people who are going to, like, I know people who are trans, I know people who need better health care, I know people who are struggling financially. Like, there's a lot of people who are affected by a lot of the stuff going on that I know. So as a mediocre white guy, this still hits close to home. So.
But
But do you think the hundreds of thousands of government workers who are furloughed, who are going without a paycheck while the government shut down, do you think that they would agree with you here?
Yeah, that I don't even know why a government, as far as I know, this was like a thing that happened more in the Reagan area where government shutdowns ended up being more of a thing. I heard that from, I think, the David Pakman show. I don't know how true that is. I tried to look it up myself. I couldn't find much on it, but I don't even know why the government shuts down the way it does. It shouldn't seem like this should be. If anything, the people who should not get the paycheck should be like senators, House representatives. Yeah. Okay, steal myself. We're going to get through this whole thing. I'm not going to say a single word. I had this thing in my email that I kind of want to share here. There was like something from my own House representative about how they phrased a lot of this stuff. Jack Bergman, U.S. Congress, Michigan's 1st District. Survey response needed. Just over 2 weeks ago, I voted for the House, and the House passed a clean continuing resolution to keep the government open. Liberals agreed just earlier this month that a short-term, nonpartisan bill was the right path forward. But when it came down to it all but 3 Democrats in the Senate rejected it. Yep. The left proposed a $1.5 trillion left-wing wish list instead, part of the whole ACA extension. Now we're on day 1 of a federal government shutdown. If Congress can't do its job and fund the government, there's no reason members of Congress should keep getting paychecks. That's why I joined Representative Ralph Norman to introduce an amendment to end member pay during shutdowns with no back pay. I've also corresponded Representative Jen Keegan's Pay Our Troops Act to guarantee service members receive their pay and benefits no matter what. We didn't want a shutdown, but we need 60 votes in the Senate to pass a clean continuing resolution, and only 3 Democrats voted to fund the government. You know how I feel about this issue, but I want to hear from you directly from the survey below. Respectfully, Jack Bergman. Now, this is the part where I don't necessarily like the phrasing on this. So this is the phrasing on it. Should Congress pass a clean bill to extend government funding and end the shutdown? Yes. No. No ad liberals $1.5 trillion in spending, including Medicaid to illegals. That was something that came up in a different email I got from Jack Bergman. I find this to be a bit disingenuous because considering that it doesn't seem like there's any actual talks to do that. That was just a talking point that Republicans have kind of made up out of thin air, and they keep talking about it. Democrats keep saying like that is not what is on the table. We're talking about ACA extensions, and yeah, they just keep doing this thing, and then no cut more federal spending. Yeah. Anyways, I voted for, yeah, you know what? Screw it. Give money to illegals at that point if you're going to be petty about it, Jack Bergman. That's how I feel about my House representative right now.
And so they're running around this town right now doing podcasts and trying to be commentators. They're doing everything but being legislators. When they had an opportunity.
Do they have anything to say about JD Vance taking over for like Turning Point USA? That was a whole thing that JD Vance did. Like, why is it now an issue? They're just talking to the American people. I was going to get through this whole thing and I wasn't going to pause, and I saw there was still 4 minutes left, so.
We stand ready to negotiate on a lot of differences. We are in a conflict.
So do you guys want to negotiate or not? Like, I've heard different sides on that. Apparently they can't keep that part straight, you know? It's just like, we don't want to negotiate, but we do want to negotiate. But we want to negotiate, but by negotiate, we want to be able to tell you just to bend over and take it. It should also be noted that Republicans just didn't show up for the 2 days prior to the government shutdown to do anything. They were told not to by Trump. So, like, they could talk all they want about trying to negotiate, but they decided to wait until after the shutdown was occurring to deflect blame, I guess, instead of actually doing their jobs, you know? So whatever they're talking about, like, they weren't at work before the shutdown, so.
Stop making $1.5 trillion demands for illegal alien funding and vote to open.
It's not illegal alien funding. They keep saying that, man. You know what? I watched a Chuck Schumer thing. Yeah, this is it.
24 pages long, funds the government till November the 21st, at which time you have the same leverage then that you have right now, and we have until the end of the year to fix the ACA credit issue. And we're happy, as I said yesterday, and I've said on multiple occasions, to sit down with you to do that.
Thank you. Now, proclaiming my...
I will say, too, the whole procrastinating, putting it off for later things, like, why is this your job just to kick it down the road? Like, why is this your job, Senator Thune, to just put this off for later. It seems like a strange choice that their sense is like, oh, we'll talk about this later. Like, you had time to talk about it beforehand. You didn't go to work 2 days before the shutdown. You were just told not to even negotiate it. That seems like just being irresponsible for your position. Seems like you shouldn't have your job, and that's probably why a lot of people are blaming Republicans more for the shutdown. As much as they like to exude confidence, right now most people are blaming Republicans for the shutdown. There's still people who blame Democrats as well, and I mean, rightfully so. They chose whether or not they wanted to shut down the government or to sign the partisan bill, and they chose to shut down the government because they wanted to have negotiations. So, but point being, yeah, it seems irresponsible for what Republicans have been doing with the negotiations. So.
But the overwhelming majority of Americans, Democrat, Independent, and even a good number of Republicans, want us to renew those credits. And the impoundment rescission. Yeah,
that's something I'm seeing a little bit more. I mean, I saw something recently about a possibility that there was election interference, stuff like that. So it starts to lend that the Republican Party right now is not a party that I trust, like, at all. Like, maybe back during when we had Mitt Romney, he seemed like he didn't scare me. I didn't think he was like the most evil person. I didn't like the whole sentiment of competition and everything, because we look what competition is getting us. Like, you have Democrat versus Republican, you have Trump versus China. What is competition getting us right now? I feel like we need more cooperation with things, more negotiations, more conversations with things rather than sheer competition. But Mitt Romney didn't scare me as much. I felt like if he became president, it wasn't going to be the end of the world. He didn't. As whatever. But yeah, the Republican Party now seems very different, and it just seems scary. But I also don't believe that the Republican Party now is completely disassociated from politics before. If anything, I feel like the way that politics have been going for a while is how we got Trump into office. The Electoral College, the dissecting of education and the credibility of experts and the like that a lot of Republicans had done in the past, that led to where we're going now. So it's not completely, removed the Republicans from today to the Republicans from 10, 20 years ago. There are steps that led us to this point, and the Republican Party can't just be like, oh, this Republican Party is completely different than what it was before. It's not completely different. It's worse, but to say it's completely different, I think, is being disingenuous to the American people. This has been a long time coming, and Trump just took advantage of it. Trump and the MAGA movement has just taken advantage of what is effectively idiocracy.
I mean, what does the leader think? That we should go along, come to an agreement, and then let them undo it unilaterally as they've done once and now have asked to do it more?
Yeah, Trump, for a man who talks about like being the master of the deal or whatever he says, like, he's really not good at negotiating this stuff. I feel like by negotiating and dealing is mostly just my way or the highway with Trump, and he just finds a way to strong arm his way through stuff. So
it's only the president who can do this. We know he runs the show here. And he's got to say to our Republican colleagues, deal with this ACA issue so that people don't get $400 premium increases. Deal with this impoundment and rescission issue, which when we told him about it yesterday, he seemed not familiar with it, but now he knows.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing with me with Trump. I don't know what he's doing as president right now besides just talking about whatever he wants to talk about, but I have concerns about how much Trump is. I mean, it seems like a lot of the Republican Party doesn't know what Trump's talking about, and Trump doesn't know what a lot of the Republican parties talk about, or whatever. Trump doesn't seem to know what's happening, period. The guy seems unwell in so many ways. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, Trump is like the first time understanding, like, oh yeah, people are suffering because of this stuff. But
as people lose their health care, rural hospitals are already closing.
Yeah, the area I live in right now is very concerning about, like, what that might mean with healthcare, or like rural hospitals closing, especially if they get if they get government funding, then that's going to be very concerning for a lot of people in the area I live. And that seems very important for especially a lot of the older people in this area. A lot of people who voted Trump, they are going to be hurt by this. And it seems to be a reoccurring theme. Democrats seem to be trying to do their best to help everybody, and at times it helps Republicans. So then the Republicans are like, oh, thank you, President Trump, or something like that. And if something bad happens, they just immediately blame Like there's obviously a lot of nuance that goes into politics, but I feel like a lot of people don't spend enough time. Well, it's difficult to get through. I guess that's why I'm doing this. It seems as though maybe that's something I can kind of help sift through. At this point, it should be pretty clear though for most people. Like if you're supporting Republicans right now, you concern me, man. Especially if you are actually aware of what's going on. For a lot of people, I don't think they are aware. I wonder how many people are even aware of how authoritarian right now a lot of things are happening, like people getting detained and injured by ICE agents and the like. It's very scary, and it should not be happening. And I do wonder how much people even realize that's happening in our country right now. For somebody who maybe might be in Canada, Australia, they wouldn't have as much of an idea about it. It's very concerning what's going on right now. And we're also just cutting ourselves off from the rest of the world with the fact that we have President Trump as president, mostly just because he is a horrible negotiator. He's not a good.
The so-called BBB, which we know is not beautiful. The American people know it's not beautiful.
Big betrayal build is one term I've heard for it.
Our Republican colleagues know that the American people are fully behind us.
Fully behind you might be a stretch there, Schumer. Not everyone's fully behind you. Like there's like 29% of Americans in a polling who don't want extensions for the ACA. They might be people who are on Medicaid, Medicare, super rich, etc.
Undocumented immigrants to get health care, to get the federal dollars of health care. That is utter bull.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like he just calls it utter bull, and it's like, yeah, what if Trump would have just allowed the press to be available there for that publicly? If they could just do the discussions publicly like they've done in the past. Apparently they didn't want it the last time they met, which is probably for a reason, because Trump didn't want to have his hypocrisy out in the open. But if he would just have that discussion for the press to be there, then they could discuss how much they aren't going to have illegal immigrants getting these. They could have a stats on that, and the American people, they could see what their tax dollars are doing. But they just don't even want to negotiate. They just don't even want to show up. They just want to keep saying things two-faced, and
It was total bull. I think that's the word I used. To say that we want undocumented immigrants to get federal benefits, that it can happen by law, and nothing we've proposed in our bill changes that. He sort of smirked, that's it, because he knows the truth. He knows the truth. And they're lying to the American people, these Republicans who use this, because they know how unpopular their position is.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It just feels like they have to lie at this point if they want to try to get away with whatever they're trying to do. Because it doesn't seem like they're saying anything that makes sense. Really, like, oh, they want it for undocumented immigrants. Like, does that even make sense? I mean, I guess if you aren't paying close attention to this stuff and you just listen to them say the thing, you're like, oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. But I guess if you actually try to break down, like, what is Democrats are talking about, what is Republicans are talking about, it's like they probably just want to extend the ACA things, right? Like, they want things to be public. They actually want transparency, unlike what a lot of Republicans are doing. They're, like I said, Republicans just seem to be far more two-faced about this stuff. They seem to be far less transparent. As much as they keep exuding that confidence, like, oh, we're so transparent, we're so for the people, and they're doing everything that's like, they talk a big game, but they're doing so very little to do what they say.
75% of Americans support extending the ACA premium tax credit.
It seems a little high. I've heard it's more like 71%.
And this idea that we can do this at January, no. The notices go out October 1st as to how much increase people will get in 29 states, and they only have a short time, long before January, to decide, are they going to drop their health care because they can't afford it?
Yeah, that is going to be a thing too, because you have to kind of plan what you're going to do with your healthcare plan, because I know with my healthcare, there are different plans I can look at in the meantime before now and whenever I'm supposed to have these things taken care of. And you could maybe propose extensions for that too. But that's the sooner that they get this figured out, it makes it a lot easier for the American people too to know what they should do with their plans, because that's going to be an important thing, especially when you start coming around to tax season. You start coming around to, especially if they're going to start talking about this in November and you got Christmas season coming up. Like this is now a good time to do this and not put it off last minute. That's my take on it.
And so again, the House isn't even set to come back until October 7th. Why did the House do that? Because they wanted to negotiate? I don't think so. They wanted to jam it through, but they're not going to.
When they don't show up for work, it doesn't seem like negotiations on the table. It's why I said it's two-faced. Some of them are saying like, oh yeah, we don't want to negotiate. We just want to, keep the government open, but then you have the other senator talking about it. It's like, oh yeah, we want to negotiate, but then they don't show up the 2 days before the shutdown. It's like, so you wanted to wait until after the shutdown started to make people squirm more, put them in an awkward position so you'd hope they'd cave? Like, what's the deal with that? Like, you're getting paid in this time, and it's one thing I guess that might be nice with Jack Bergman talking about with the bill that he might want to pass, but the fact that he's also sharing these undocumented immigrants getting these ACA benefits is, yeah.
The president is busy trolling away on the internet like a 10-year-old. And that's exactly why Americans are going to blame him. We have less than a day to figure this out, and Donald Trump is busy tweeting deep fakes.
That's our president. I've said it before, too, that it feels like the best case scenario we had when Trump became president was he would just try to dissolve everything down to as many states' rights as possible. Just, get rid of Supreme Court, get rid of this, get rid of that, which to an extent he's definitely been doing that. But he's also been exerting his authority with, use ICE agents to attack immigrants and the like, or just even citizens at that point, using ICE agents to attack citizens, his own personal military, trying to get the military to attack citizens. And we are not in the best case scenario that I was thinking, which was not even a good scenario. It was just like best case scenarios that Trump isn't going to be too authoritarian about everything. But no, it's he's not handling things in a very good way. And Democrats trying to save the ACA in that could have been like good for Trump, and instead he's doing this. And after this is all over, if they do cave and Republicans do work with Democrats, Trump is going to come out and say like, we finally got the Democrats to listen to us and save the ACA like we always wanted. Trump's going to say something asinine like that on Truth Social. We all know it's going to happen. Musk has Jeffries busted as healthcare debate rages. Republicans are doubling down on their misleading claims that Democrats want to pay for free health care for undocumented people as a provision of their terms for ending the shutdown, with Elon Musk and other right-wing voices sharing a video of CNN host grilling House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries about political risks of their demands. In the clip of Jeffries' appearance on CNN on Wednesday, host Jake Tapper points out that one of the Democrats' demands would roll back cuts to President Trump's signature policy bill to emergency Medicaid funding. Hospitals can use this to pay for people without health insurance, including undocumented migrants who would qualify for Medicaid if not for their immigration status. Oh, so it's just for people without health insurance, which including undocumented immigrants, which at that point, yeah, saving lives for people who don't have health insurance. So it's not just undocumented immigrants, it's just anybody without health insurance. Medicaid funding for hospitals is available in 40 states plus Washington, D.C. Democrats also want to repeal new stricter Medicaid eligibility requirements included in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that would block some non-citizens in the U.S. legally, such as some asylum seekers and people with temporary protected status, from accessing Medicaid. Why even include that in the bill knowing that they're going to seize right upon that? Yeah, that is, they're focused on it so hard. Tapper asked Jeffries, who called Republicans' claims that Democrats want to pay for health insurance for undocumented a lie. Jeffries didn't directly answer Tapper's question, but said, what we're doing is fighting to protect the health care of the American people against the largest cut to Medicaid ever, noting an estimated 14 million more. So them saying it's 1.5 trillion for undocumented immigrants is an exceedingly large exaggeration from the sounds of it. Although there are some things in there that would protect, which honestly good at that point. I feel like our phobia of immigrants is unwarranted, noting an estimated 14 million more people in the U.S. would be uninsured by 2034 as a result of Trump's signature policy bill, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation nonprofit. Musk posted the clip on X on Thursday, writing, busted, when the White House doubled down on the claim that Democrats shut down. Yeah, Musk is not one for nuance, is he? He's just that dumb, isn't he? I mean, I shouldn't say that. Musk is a moron. Democrats shut down the federal government to try to get... maybe it's not a moron. I shouldn't say that. He's just horrible. It's not much better. Democrats shut down the federal government to try to give taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens, which House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt wrote on X. Republicans' claims that Democrats want to give undocumented migrants free health care are misleading. Yeah, exaggerated. Only non-citizens who are in the U.S. legally, such as those who have temporary protected status and asylum seekers, are eligible for Medicaid or to purchase insurance through the Affordable Care Act. So it's not illegal immigrants. It's migrants. Migrants are available, but undocumented migrants are ineligible according to the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act passed in 1996. Democrats' demands that would impact undocumented migrants also represent a small fraction of federal health care spending. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. And again, I get there's a whole thing about undocumented migrants that they're totally terrified about. I'm more terrified about white people in this country than I am about migrants at this point. That's me as a white guy. I am more terrified of white people in this country than I am of migrants. So Medicaid reimbursements hospitals used to pay for emergency health care for undocumented people represent less than 1% of overall Medicaid spending between fiscal years 2017 and 2023, according to KFF. The government shut down Wednesday at midnight when the fiscal year 2025 ended and the budget expired and lawmakers failed to come to an agreement on a new government funding plan. Republicans wanted to pass an extension of the existing budget known as a continuing resolution to remain in effect through November 21st, but they need at least 7 Democrats to vote alongside all Republicans in order to meet the 60-vote threshold to break the filibuster in the Senate. All but 3 Democrats voted against the resolution, with leadership insisting that the party's support is contingent on extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits and rolling back the Medicaid eligibility restrictions. I can't read that! Republicans blame Democrats for shut down the White House have to cut funding for programs and support apparent punishment policies. They punish it for refusing to approve the GOP plan. Yeah, so Republicans are just being petty, is what a lot of this is. I mean, Democrats are also being petty in their own way, I guess you could say. But petty for the American people, so it's a little more justified at that point.
We're going to do whatever we have to do is the answer. And I think it's tough to predict what shape this negotiation is going to take over the next few months.
Last thing he says.
Next few months. You said a few months. Not days, not weeks even. Next few months. Dang, they're ready for a shutdown to go a while.
Over the next few months is what he said. They're not speaking. The Republicans have been ordered basically do not speak and do not even show up.
Hey, they've been speaking a little. Hey Ben, they've been speaking a little bit. All right, they've been speaking a little bit. They're a little two-faced about it, but they have been speaking a little bit. All right, they've been. One side of their face has been talking to the Democrats. Yeah, Trump does say a lot of things that contradict what he says.
So I want to bring in Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. Leader Jeffries, it's great to see you. So I want to just ask you directly. Tomorrow.
This is those podcasts that the Republicans were talking about that they're upset about, that Hakeem Jeffries is going on and talking to Ben.
Are you willing to meet with Vice President J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, and Senate Majority Leader Thune?
Absolutely. Anytime, any place. And we want to make sure that it's fully transparent. So we should absolutely do it in public so we can air.
Transparency in public for the people to see what's actually going on. That seems like a great idea. I like it. Yeah, we should do that. I think the Republicans can get behind this. I think they love that idea of transparency. They've been talking about transparency up and down. You know, they're ready to be they're so transparent they might as well be invisible.
And they're hiding because they know their position.
And by invisible, I mean the Republicans are hiding a lot and going to lobbyists or something, probably. Yeah, I know that Trump and a lot of Republicans keep going back to the ACA and how bad it is. But instead of actually fixing it, they, like I said before, they just don't even want to do anything about it. They just want to sign this bill and just yeah, we'll take care of it later. And Democrats are like, no, we need to fix this now or else people are going to lose their health care. It's like, yeah, but it's so broken, but we don't want to fix it, but we want to negotiate, but we don't want to go to... It's so confusing.
You know, Leader Jeffries, this is why I think Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and MAGA Mike and Thune were too scared to allow cameras into your meeting with them earlier this week. You know, Donald Trump wanted to post those photos with the weird Trump 2028 hat where he's like pointing at you. That's the behavior that he wanted to.
Yeah, that to me is just like, that's not debating in good faith, man. I mean, I guess if J.D. Vance thinks those are funny, you know, maybe they should have this. Maybe J.D. Vance would be okay with this just plastered up on the wall while the whole debates are going on. I think J.D. Vance would be okay with this. I think J.D. Vance has a good sense of humor. I think J.D. Vance is okay with this. I don't think he would be offended by this at all.
You know, if they're lying, they're losing, and they know that they're losing.
Jeffries is so monotone. Like, it's a little hard to be super into what he's saying, but I get what he's saying.
And the amount of time that we spent, literally, in talking about the issue of health insurance for undocumented immigrants was less than 10 seconds. You know why? Because they know it's a lie. But they'll go out to their press conferences without us, where we're not able to fact check them in real time.
Two-faced.
Continue to try to
I wouldn't
spout
doubt
that
it.
lie.
I mean, you could say like maybe they're making it up now, and then next time it comes up, they'll be like, then they will. I don't know. I'm not gonna conjecture that. It's not worth it. It's not worth entertaining the thought that Republicans are trying to be truthful, because that's just a whole realm of headache.
Very comforted to hear that this is a fight. This is the fight they've wanted to see, a fight for their lives, quite literally a fight for their lives if their health care is taken away.
It's a bit of an extreme way to put it, like literally a fight for their lives. I mean, it's probably true for a good portion of Americans. It's a sensational way to put it. Okay, that's enough for me for now. Thanks to everyone who stopped in. Thanks for anybody who tolerated this. Do this again sometime. I'm still planning on doing more political stuff, not necessarily on stream, but it's something that's important to me at the moment for various reasons. So I'm going to try to continue that. Times are scary, and I want to do something about it, So thanks again to everybody. Bye.